Great, everybody, welcome to this webinar today, how to build your business with LinkedIn. I am Naomi Johnson, and I'm going to be talking to you today about LinkedIn, the platform, and I'm going to share some very key stories about how I actually got my business started with LinkedIn. We have approximately 1 hour together. Please do use the chat box to ask questions, and if you're listening to this as a recording, then feel free to email us, probably comment on the thread or comment on our company page on LinkedIn or Facebook, and we can get a real conversation going and answer lots of questions. So how to build your business with LinkedIn? Well, let's just take a look first at why we'd want to do this. How important is LinkedIn? It has 50,000 members as of last week, which right now it is end of May 2017. It is one of the biggest online professional networks in the world, and there are 500 million users in 200 countries. That is 23 million in the UK and 158 million in Europe. 2 new members join every second. And LinkedIn is just the most powerful way of showing you how you're connected to other people, leveraging trust in your network, and being able to get your name out there. So if you are an expert in your industry, you are building a service-based industry, you are in a service-based business, you are in sales, you want to have conversations about your product or service, and you want people to get to know you, LinkedIn is the place to do it. I am the founder of the Profile Company. I am the author of a book called What to Put on Your LinkedIn Profile and a book called Grassroots to Green Shoots, just to give you background on me. I wrote What to Put on Your LinkedIn Profile back in 2014. The latest edition out is the 2016 edition, which obviously now needs a massive change due to the changes that LinkedIn brought in this year in 2017. So keep an eye out for that, because we'll be editing and giving you new insights. Although it's pretty evergreen, to be fair. The strategies are exactly the same. So it's a good book. And I actually wrote this book whilst working for a company called Really Connect. And Really Connect provided LinkedIn training to small businesses and big businesses, and they were actually the first training provider that LinkedIn officially approved. And they were in, at that time, a relationship with LinkedIn, getting to know them and working with them. And 2 years ago, they actually entered into an official working relationship with LinkedIn, and we spent quite a lot of time at LinkedIn's offices. And we also ran the Rock Your Profile stand at LinkedIn's Europe and Asia conference called Talent Connect in 2013 and 2014, plus their conference called Social Recruiting. So that's not missing a G on the end, it actually is Social Recruiting. And we provide lots of LinkedIn profile reviews for some of the top directors and HR directors of major companies in the UK. And what happened is that led to the company getting bought out by a billionaire and the company culture changing dramatically. And I had a real passion for small businesses, for positioning people as thought leaders and go-to experts in their industry. I had completed in 2010 a course with Daniel Priestley. Some of you may have heard of him, called Key Person of Influence. I strongly recommend going and getting his book, by the way, which is generally free online. And I completed the course with him, and I was just passionate about positioning people as thought leaders and leaders in their industry. So I decided I couldn't stay, and various things inside the company, just different things. I actually left the job with no notice whatsoever, and suddenly found myself needing to generate an income urgently. The company had been a startup. I wasn't on proper pay. I'd actually taken a lower pay on the hope that this thing would pull off. So now I was actually in a hole for the tax and needing urgently to get going. And I had no savings left. I had no credit lines. I literally had to make my business work. So I'm going to tell you about that today, and I'm going to tell you the strategies and things that I did to actually get that going. So if you are in a place where you're aiming to get your business to start giving you new income immediately, you're definitely in the right place. And you're definitely in the right place with LinkedIn, because it's going to cost you absolutely nothing to do it. Nissa says she's still on the first slide. Is that normal? Well, you should be on the second one now, where it says about me. So do you know what I'm learning with a GoToWebinar, as you've experienced this morning, is yes, it probably is normal, actually. I just don't understand these things. Let's see if I can just get that moving. I've had to edit recordings so many times to check on slides and things and re-put them all back in. I just don't even know what the variance is as to why it works and why it doesn't work. But I will be really careful to make sure that I tell you exactly what's on the screen. My video is getting stuck on the title page. Oh well. Ah! I got so many good slides. I don't understand. Oh, Mark says the same thing. We've had 2 slides actually. All right, well, we're gonna come out. We're gonna go back in again. I'm gonna share my main screen. So now we're gonna share what I'm seeing on the screen. Oh, actually, I wonder if that's what the problem was. Okay, can you see About Me page now? Okay, yeah, so Naomi was doing something wrong. That's okay. Naomi does a lot of things wrong. She does a lot of good things too. Talking about myself in the third person. Right, I'm going to delete those comments where it's all going haywire and wrong so I can see new comments coming in where it's going right. So, good, because these slides, I put time into them. So yeah, you can see here, yeah, just ping me again because I do see it come up on the screen if there's a problem. I'm glad we worked that out. Yeah, so if you are in a position with your business where you want to make sales immediately, which I can't imagine anyone who wouldn't, you are absolutely in the right place. And I'm going to share with you really authentically where I was up to and how I made this work. So on the website, you may have seen we've got lots of tutorials you can find on there. And this is why I love to receive your questions and tell you the answers, because it makes really great content. And when it says how to delete an account, that's actually probably quite strange that it sits there, because it's only if you've got double account. How to get powerful LinkedIn recommendations. There's like loads of different things on there. So do ask your questions and I will do my best to answer them. We've also got videos on there as well, how-tos. Again, they all need changing to 2017 and we're just working our way through that. So just ping me, let me know what you want and we'll get it done. And that's all on the webpage, TheProfile.Company. Do follow us on LinkedIn as well. We post articles and information and notifications on LinkedIn. So just follow the company page and you'll see that come through in your feed. Just pop in the search box, The Profile Company, or go via my own profile page. Hopefully you're all connected with me. If not, send me a connection message. Just let me know in your introduction that you were here, although I'll probably recognize your name now. Okay, so let's just jump straight in on the content. The founder of LinkedIn is a guy called Reid Hoffman. He's a billionaire investor and co-founder of LinkedIn. And he said, if you're an entrepreneur and not using LinkedIn, I can nearly guarantee that you are not going to be a successful entrepreneur in this day and age. At this point, it's almost a basic IQ test. And I wonder if he means from that, you know, actually being able to drive the platform and use it. But really, it's about knowing, it's emotional intelligence, if I'm honest. Actually, there's a good blog in there that it's actually emotional intelligence. It's knowing how to build a relationship. So a lot of people will say to me, oh, a lot of my business comes in via word of mouth. And I would say, absolutely, I agree with you. LinkedIn is about putting word of mouth on steroids. It's about getting way more from it. And you might be all asking the question, so it's a good time for me to ask it, should I upgrade on LinkedIn? LinkedIn has changed their pricing policies recently. And I agree with LinkedIn making money, especially from us that are going to be using it to build a business. But when it comes to charging £70 for Sales Navigator, for people like you and me who are building a service-based business around ourselves as an expert, I would say the answer is no. Because what LinkedIn is, it's if you meet someone at a networking event or you bump into them socially or anywhere, LinkedIn gives you the power to stay in touch with that person and stay in a relationship with them, even though you're not speaking to them. So LinkedIn is, as on itself, as a standalone platform, as a tool, the only tool you use. There are ways to get business from it, but it's really just part of the marketing mix. And you need an emotional intelligence to know how to build relationships with people, how to nurture those relationships. And then that's something that happens offline. That's something that happens in life. And then LinkedIn allows you to put it on steroids and to like get way, way more. An example of this would be somebody that I met at a networking event 4 months ago. And he and I met, we had a very quick conversation, we exchanged business cards, and I connected with him on LinkedIn. And I didn't see or think about him again until 4 months later when I went to the same networking event again, and I bumped into him. And he remembered who I was, and he was familiar with me. Now, if you've met someone once 4 months before, and you always go into networking events, it's actually quite hard to be memorable. But yet I was memorable, and I don't think I'm that memorable of a person. It's simply that he was seeing me on LinkedIn, and I was coming up across his path quite like nearly every day because I was on LinkedIn and I was being active. And he and I caught up in a conversation at the coffee table, and I said, oh my gosh, you'll never believe what happened yesterday. We were talking about something about LinkedIn. I went, oh, well, here's a perfect example. You'll never guess, right? So this happened. And then he interrupted me and he told me what happened. I went, oh my gosh, how do you know that? And he goes, it was your LinkedIn status update yesterday. I saw it. And I went, oh, okay, yeah, actually. And that's the power of it. I'm in conversation with this person I've only met once 4 months ago, but every day I'm in conversation with him and I haven't been forgotten. And when I meet him, he knows key things that I want people to know, that are on point with my brand and my message. So is it an IQ test? Probably. Reid Hoffman's talking about this from the perspective of knowing how to drive the platform, but actually it's about EQ, it's about emotional intelligence, it's about knowing how to build relationships, how to lead people into a sales conversation, and it's very much about having the structure of a business behind you that allows you to convert business and make sales, which is definitely what we're covering today, because success on LinkedIn is about knowing your outcome. So one of the biggest questions I always get asked is, am I wasting my time or getting actual results, real tangible business results? And most people, the answer is absolutely no, they're not. I hear the question, how many minutes, hours a day should I spend on LinkedIn? And the general advice that's out there is 45 minutes a week, which is 7 minutes a day. And I would say, well, yeah, sure, okay, fine. That's all right if you want to do that. But what are you doing with those 7 minutes? What is the outcome that you're actually achieving with those 7 minutes? Personally, myself, I'm probably on those 7 minutes a day. But my team and I doing different things behind the scenes, we could be on there hours per week, but we're actually getting tangible business results. And I'm not saying that you need a team, you need to be doing hours, but it's about focusing on what are we getting from our time? What is the point? Where are we going? And the key thing with this is to know the outcome. The key to success on LinkedIn is to know your outcome. We need to know what it is that we are trying to achieve. And I would suggest that the outcome that you're trying to achieve is sales. If you're not trying to achieve sales, then what are we doing here? In my business, we are actually at capacity pretty much around sales. So sales is dropping down the list of important things. However, building a list and getting a following and giving content and just growing bigger and bigger in terms of products and different things, that's now our intention. But we're only creating products and content with the tail end being sales. Otherwise, what are we doing here? And if you're a charity, it's about charity, raising money for charities. So even though it sounds really, really crude, I think most of us would just go off and enjoy life and have a siesta every single day if we didn't have to make money. So for many of us, it is having sales, and it's about making sales in a genuine, authentic way that adds value to people, that is of service to people. It's solving real problems and bringing your expertise to the table and allowing you to do, and if I'm going to get really deep, your purpose, the reason why you're here, living on purpose, living your passion, and getting better and better at what you do and helping more and more people in the process to evolve and grow and solve their problems. I don't know if that resonates with anyone, let me know. But that is, you know, as crude as it sounds, I think a lot of people run away from sales. But when you get sales right and you understand that sales, the root of it is to be in service to people, and knowing that actually it's an exchange of money that has to happen, we suddenly start to understand what we're doing. And in order for this exchange of money to happen and for the sale to happen, the answer is already on the screen. We need to be having sales appointments. We need to be having conversations with our ideal target market where we can elicit from them exactly what their problem is and make a presentation to them on how we can solve it for them and have them say, yes, I want that. So to do this, we have to understand and consider the buying journey of our prospect. How are they coming to this information, and how are they going through the steps of deciding I have a problem and I need a solution? Research, which I quoted below there, is research has proven that 57% of a buying decision is now made online before a sales representative gets involved. And I would say that also you will probably see in your own life examples where it's 100% of a decision is now made online before you speak to anybody. And this would be things in the fast-moving consumer goods industry. Lower price ones. This morning I was trying to find out about blackout curtains, having been awake since 4 o'clock this morning. And I literally go onto Amazon and I'm just looking, and I will click purchase later on after this call probably. I'll go, yep, I'm going to get a meter of that. That's what I'm doing. I've looked at the peer reviews and I haven't spoken to anybody else, just checked that other people said, yeah, it blacks out. And that's 100% of a buying decision. And people will buy iPads and internet service and insurance, all sorts of things, 100%. Now, if you are in a service-based industry where someone's going to have to work with you personally, you'll probably find that it's actually 57%. And the other 43% is where you're on the phone with them, and they are going through the kind of like a chemistry check with you to decide whether you are their provider. They can see themselves working with you, that you actually communicate well together, and everything they've seen of you online and like about you is good, and that you are the right service provider. So for a lot of us in this industry, actually, yes, it's 43%. I know a lot of us would just love to have sales happen in our business overnight. We wake up in the morning and find we've made £10,000. That is actually very achievable. For products, but for service-based, where you have to show up and give your time, you do have to get involved. And just to flip that on its head, you actually want to get involved, because, you know, if someone came to my website and bought a LinkedIn profile review with me, for a LinkedIn profile written from me, where I actually write your profile for you, I'd probably go into a panic attack, if I'm honest, because there are certain things that a person has to have in place in their business in order for me to be able to write their profile. And they also have to feel passionate about what they're doing, and it has to resonate with me. And therefore, I want that conversation. I want to talk to that person before they purchase. And the same goes for quite a few of the things I do. I want to know that a person can get results from the work that we do together. And for that to happen, I need to know that they are the right client. So you can see there just how important it therefore is that you actually do show up for that final 43%. You do your own due diligence to make sure they are the right client for you. So 57% of a buying decision, we want to show up for our prospect, and we want to match them on that buying journey. So what I want to do now is just walk you through what that buying journey is from beginning to end, and then how we can actually show up and create content for that beginning to end of that 57%. Because if we don't show up entirely for that 57%, it could well be, if we've got them started at the beginning, they'll end up going to a different provider, because if they can't get a question answered, they will go to Google. They will go looking on Google. The person who has answered that question, they will show up at the top of Google, and a relationship will start with that other provider. And if that person is you, then that's how actually someone can, you know, someone might have already decided they want to use LinkedIn in their business, and they've already decided they're looking for a LinkedIn trainer, so they Google it, I come up, and I'll actually meet them at that part of the journey. So let me just make this more clear for you by showing you this diagram. This is what I'm really referring to. So the journey of a prospect, 57%, that is that arrow on the right-hand side there that says the journey of the prospect. They go from being a new lead to someone who's having a sales appointment with you. They're going from being someone who doesn't know that they have a problem to know that they need a solution, all the way through to, my goodness, I do need a solution. I must invest my time. This is my trusted expert. I must speak to you immediately. And that's where they get on the sales appointment. And remember how we said before, it's about getting sales, and sales only happen with sales appointments. So therefore, we need to focus all of our time on getting sales appointments. We need to get people in a conversation with us about their business. So to get to a sales appointment, we have to work it backwards, and we have to work out who it is that we want on the sales appointment, who is our ideal client, and what is it about them that's going to want, if they're going to want to speak to us. Because we can offer the greatest information away for free, but unless someone sees an actual reason to speak to us, they're not going to. We have to look at this as an exchange of time. We have to get to a point where someone actually wants to give up an hour with us, which you think, oh, well, I'm giving it away for free. Yeah, sure, but there's still an exchange there. You still have to convince them to take an hour out of their day and demonstrate that you're a valuable person to be speaking to. So there's some work to be done here. And then after, just on this diagram alone, as you will see, you can see the confirmed sale, which is at 6 o'clock on the clock. You then got the service delivery. This is where you actually deliver the service. And I'm going to talk to you in a bit about transformational products. This is where you take a person from where they are now to where they want to get to. So this is where you confirm the sale, you do the contract, and you complete it. And the bit between 10 and 12 on the clock is actually where you confirm that you're complete at 10 o'clock, and then you start looking at your case studies, portfolio, testimonials, and really filling that out so other potential prospects will see it and go, oh yeah, I can see this is a good person to work with, and they get a feel and understanding for what it is that you do. So this slide, I'm going to go back and forth between two slides. This really is a clock, the circle that I'm looking at. And it starts off at 12 and it comes around to 1, 2, and 3 o'clock. And what I'm going to show you, there's a few slides just to go dancing back and forth with. I'm going to talk to you about, ooh, wrong way, here we go. So at 12 o'clock, so you might want to just draw that on a piece of paper for yourself. 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock is where a prospect doesn't know they have a problem and aren't looking for a solution. You know they have a problem because you're the expert and you can see exactly what somebody needs, but you can't yet have that conversation with them because they don't know they have a problem. So we have to awaken them to the fact that they have an issue. Then there are those that know that they have a problem but don't know a solution exists. So they're just in the dark, dealing with the fires in their business or in their life, just on their own, not knowing that there's any training or support or help out there or a solution. For example, my curtains let all the light in. Maybe I don't know about, I have a problem that I keep waking up early, but I don't know blackout curtains exist. So that would be a very point example for me right now, but I do know. So therefore, I know a solution exists. So I know I have a problem. I really need to get some darkness in my room. I can't wake up at 4 o'clock every day, and I'm looking for a solution. So because I know a solution exists, so I went looking for one. So I didn't exactly choose an expert, I just went to Amazon. That's what we do. So I know I'm ready to invest, and I've gone to my expert's at Amazon. Artificial intelligence, maybe. And so let's look at this from a business point of view. Looking at a recruitment company, when recruitment companies hire staff, they actually can have a 65% turnover of staff every single year. It's actually an industry norm that the rec-to-rec business, the staff in that business will change continuously. It's a cutthroat, horrible environment, really. People aren't happy, and they come in for a little while and they go. 65% turnover. So most people in that industry, they look at their numbers, they account for the cost of recruitment and the cost of training, and they say, yeah, that's 65%, that's a cost to our business, at a process in our business we have to be aware of, we live with it. It's just a thing. It's just the way it is, so they're living with it. But you will know in a minute that there are companies out there that have completely transformed this and are achieving a 15% turnover of staff every single year. And that is dramatically different. So if you were to go to that recruitment company and say, well, actually, 65 isn't normal anymore, you can actually achieve 15%, suddenly they go, oh my gosh, well, I must be doing something wrong then. What am I doing wrong? What is this person doing right? I need to know about how they do that. So we've awoken them to the fact that they have a problem. They become aware that they have a problem. And they say, yes, okay, I've got a problem. I need to fix this. And as soon as they hear that statistic, if it's actually from the guy who has this result, which is a guy I know, and he's just happily running his business, so he's not out there training people on how to fix it. So that how to fix it randomly is another client of mine, which is fantastic. I managed to put them two together. So a lot of them would be out there just going, oh, well, how do I fix this then? And they would start looking at diversity. They'd start looking at their leadership skills. They'd start looking at compensation. They'd start trying to diagnose it for themselves. But they don't know that actually there are specialists out there that can help them. Now, in this industry, there is a new company that are starting to help with this, but a lot of people have to start putting that answer together for themselves. So they're going to have to diagnose it for themselves. They will look at books, they will look at online videos, they will get specialists in to run some diagnostics, and they will start piecing it all together, and they will do it for themselves. And at a certain point, they'll finally diagnose exactly what the problem is. So they've identified they have a problem. Now they're diagnosing what the problem is. And once they've identified that actually the problem is the company culture and how people are behaving inside that culture, which is very cutthroat, and actually isn't congruent with how the world has changed, they will go, right, we need to change the company culture. So then they'll say, right, I know I have a problem and I'm looking for a solution around changing the company culture. And they'll start really delving into that content. And then they'll say, oh gosh, this is so big, I can't do it for myself. I'm going to need some help. And they will come around to the point where they have to pay for it. They will look at the cost of the problem. That's very, very costly. That's 65% per year. And they will say, okay, if I were to invest £10,000 in this solution of getting an expert in to help me to transform my company culture, then I am going to make a saving of £100,000 per year. That is an absolute no-brainer. So now they've come around to the understanding, I need to invest. And when they've come around to that, they'll start going, right, who am I going to invest with? And they'll start choosing their expert. So on the diagram, that is the 3 to 4 p.m. So as they're choosing their expert, for them to do that, if they're coming at this cold, they'll start Googling. Or they might ask people who they know. Or they might start looking in their network on LinkedIn. And just to say who they know is very likely to be on LinkedIn. And if you're publishing content or another person's publishing content on this subject, suddenly their radar will be on. They were looking for a company culture expert. Radar on. Who are they gonna it's like when you are buying a new car. When I started looking at cars a couple of years ago, I had no idea that there was a new Mini that had a different opening of the door at the back. I saw it and went, oh my gosh, I've never seen a Mini that does that. And then the next thing you know, every minute I'm seeing Minis with back door like that. It's exactly the same thing. We've all heard that example before, similar to that. As soon as you know that you want something, your antenna is on and you'll start seeing it. So even though you don't know you have a cultural issue at the moment, now suddenly on LinkedIn and anywhere you read, you're going to start seeing content talking about cultural issues. This is where content comes into play. This is where you show up. And it's at this point they're going to be going, oh, look, well, this person does culture. And they'll say, well, where are they located? Oh, United States. Well, we're in the UK, so that's not relevant. And they'll go and look around. They go, oh, this person's in the UK, easy distance. So London, they work in London. I wonder how they work. I wonder if that's something we could do. Let me see how I can get involved with them. And they'll see, oh, yeah, they have some transformational packages. Yeah, I can see us doing that. That sounds good. This person's really credible. They had a really good journey. They believe and passionate about something. I can see that working in our business. They're very experienced. They've got results from other people. I like what they're talking about. I like the tone of what they're talking about. Let me reach out to this person and have a conversation with them. And it's at that point that that person will phone you up. And one thing you don't want in a service business is just people phoning you up and just launching into their problems and their issues. You actually need to contain the conversation because you just don't have the time to be interrupted that way. So this is where sales appointments become really, really important, because a sales appointment is something that's really, really structured, and it's a very clear exchange of time for money, or time for time. Where you will literally do a diagnostic with a person and say, look, you've indicated you've got some problems with your company culture. I'd love to talk about that with you and give you some insights and some tips, signpost you in the right direction. And if I am the right person to work with you, then great, we can have that conversation. But let's just really diagnose exactly what the issue is. So this person who does company culture, the first thing they want to know is really, is this a company culture issue? So this sales appointment will actually really delve into and help scope out, well, what are the symptoms? What are the problems that you're experiencing? How do you feel about this? And this company consultant, they might not want to work with anybody who isn't sold on their method and branding. So they would actually do a test, like, do you believe in investing into your people? Like, they look at the heart and soul of that person and make sure that they're not going to be like singing from two different song sheets. So there's a real thing that has to happen in that half an hour conversation before you can move into a more in-depth, scoped out session. And this is something I help people with. I don't just do your LinkedIn profile, I actually work on that sales process as well. If this is helpful content, by the way, do let me know by just popping something in the questions, or just let me know. I could do with some interaction. Just let me know I'm on the right track. So this is why we have to look at the whole process and not just LinkedIn. We have to look at what is happening in that sales conversation. And we need to work that backwards then. Great, Mark says very helpful content. Brilliant. Let's have a drink. So you can see why LinkedIn is way more than just putting a CV on the profile, and why I charge what I do. It's not a £100 job, it's the full process. It's to actually build all of this into your business for you. So we want people to choose you as their expert, which means that you need to show up really clearly, really professionally. And I think LinkedIn is a great way. I mean, one of the things I do say is that people make a decision about you very, very quickly. We are overwhelmed as human beings. There's so much stimulus coming at us all the time that we make snapshot decisions about people. And even though we do that on the street when we meet people all the time, LinkedIn's a very different, way more intense place than that. Because if I met you at a networking event, I met someone at a show yesterday, and they told me what they did, and I was like, I have no interest in energy. I don't pay the bills. I don't select the energy bills in any of my environments. This is just not relevant to me whatsoever. But I couldn't just click away from him. I had to stand and have a conversation and be polite and find some common ground to have a conversation, because it's always nice to meet new people, and it's not necessarily about what he offers. There's a different relationship, a different reason for meeting. But on LinkedIn, there isn't a different reason for meeting, and I can click away within an instant. And we want people to actually know what we do, who we are. We don't really want people to click away instantly. And I'll explain why, even if they're not a prospect for us, why that is in a minute. But the key thing is we want to show up on LinkedIn very, very succinct, very professional, and very high level. I don't know if this is a good example. I haven't really tested it out yet, so I'm going to test it out with you. But I have two pairs of trousers. One pair of trousers I will do gardening in and go for a long hike in the woods that I live in. And the other pair of trousers I'll wear on stage at a networking event. I'm very, very clear about which pair is which, and I will not go walking in the very expensive pair of trousers because they are expensive. But the cheap ones that I got from Primark for £6, I will do whatever I darn well please in them, and I don't care if I rip them. And it's exactly the same if something's cheap or something's expensive. It's all in the perception. Let's face it, most of the time it is perception. That's how someone will treat us. They'll either pay us a lot of money or they won't pay us a lot of money. They'll either treat us well or they won't treat us well. And it is all on the perception of what we put out there. So the trousers that are expensive from Marks and Spencer's, I treat them really well. And the ones from Primark, I treat really badly. Maybe that's a good example. Maybe it's not. Let me know. But it's all in the perception, how we show up, the price that we put in there. I could show you an advert for two different things. One would be for Harrods, one would be for the garage sale. and it's all in the font, the colors, and the presentation. So let's look at your presentation. Let's brand you in a way that people show up and respect you and respect your time. So I don't know if that was a good example, but someone left the webinar then, but then they'd just come back, so that's fine. I'm watching the numbers. So yeah, so it's all about those things. So we need to take someone from not knowing they have Mark says, I don't see it like that. I think it's a great example how we are perceived, branding us in a way that makes us suitable for the sale or role. Totally. It's so true. It's so true. Like someone said, and actually someone who does image consulting will tell you this straight up. I met up with somebody and they apologized when they met and said, oh, I'm dressed very smartly today. I've been to a business networking meeting. I wouldn't normally dress this smart. And I was like, are you serious? Like, I think you're really underdressed. And it just changed the perception of how I saw her as a very young person starting out her business compared to somebody who was really, boom, I'm showing up and I'm worth a lot of money. But we can talk about that on another call. I can get a specialist on for you, which is actually one of my clients. There are lots of people who do it, but I have a client that does it. Maybe she'll do a session for us. So yeah, it's all about perception. It's how we put ourselves out there. So here's the diagram again, just to show you. So between 12 and 1, they don't know they have a problem and aren't looking for solutions. So they aren't actually a lead at this point. They're someone we can create into a new lead. We can spot that they're a new lead, but at the moment they don't know that they are. Then they come around to know that they have a problem. Actually, I'll move on to the next slide. That would be way easier. So we can create, yeah, this is the better slide. So we can create a brand new market by building awareness in the marketplace for the fact that there is a problem, that company culture could be the problem, that the way you're dressed could be the problem. We can create awareness, and that's where social media has really, really changed the game, in that we can now get in front of people and share content with them where they wouldn't previously have been looking. Because if you don't know you have a problem, you aren't looking. And then you can bring someone around to identifying they have a problem. Then they go on research and they start looking. Identifying research is in the normal cycle of how somebody buys, but it's changed recently. I'm going to say that there's a section there just under research. It should say diagnose, identify, diagnose, which is on my diagram. I'm mixing up a traditional sales model with a new one that I've created. And then people come around to investing. Then they start shortlisting their potential suppliers, and then they engage with you. So those purple ones are actually the traditional method that somebody goes through. And I've put in create a new market, diagnose should be in there, and then self-implementation. And this is where we will go and find free content. You're doing self-implementation right now. You've identified you have a problem, you're working out what it is, and you're going to try and do it yourself. You're digesting free content, you are self-implementing. And there's nothing wrong with it. If it works, it works. And at a certain point you might say, well, actually the business case proves it, I need to invest. And you'll say, yep, the money outweighs it, I'm going to invest. And I actually turn down clients for whom I can't see will get a return on investment. I turned down 2 the other day because I just couldn't see it. And I was like, nope, just you take my free content because I don't think you're going to get a return on investment. And sometimes it's about doing it for your client. But and I think that's the difference between someone who holds on to all their information for free and someone who will give it away. I'd rather people be empowered to make the right decision because the return on investment's there, rather than leave someone in a very poor position. So if you've actually, you see where it says shortlist there? If you've actually been the person to meet them all the way at the beginning at 12 o'clock, around 4 o'clock, there won't be any shortlisting, or it'll be a very short list because you'll be the only one on it. You would have built trust and rapport with them, and they will want to have that conversation with you, and the conversation you have will be so much different to what normally it is. I noticed the other day, I was doing a sales call, and somebody says to me, well, why should I choose you? Why you? And I went, I was actually really annoyed. It's actually a very good question. And I was like, why is she asking me that? Nobody asks that question. And then I realized that we'd actually come to this conversation backwards compared to how I usually have the conversation. And usually I structure the sales call and tell them exactly what's going to happen and exactly what the process is. But because of the nature of how we'd come to this conversation, I hadn't structured the sales call. So I'd actually left that part of the puzzle out, and she actually needed to ask that question. But when we do this properly, people don't ask the question. They just naturally get it. So I had to recognize in that. I was like, oh, baffled. Why is someone asking me that? People actually always ask that question. They're just asking it with my online content. They're not asking it to my face. And that's the difference. And when you have that, people come to you pre-sold, ready for what you are going to share. And they're more open to it as well. So a really good example of this would be a lady that I spoke to who writes sales scripts for commercials, adverts, and even some TV shows. And she said to me that sometimes she has clients that are absolutely amazing to work with. They receive everything that she's got to say, they lap it up, they trust her, she gets creative, she plays around with stuff, and it's like, wow, this is really fun, everyone's happy, and they get a good result from the commercial. And then she has clients that are just a nightmare to work for. They look over her shoulder, they're constantly criticizing what she's writing, the team will try and rewrite it, and then she has to explain the psychology of why she's written it that way. And it just gets so tiring. And she's like, I can't stand it. And I just don't know why I get some that are good and some that are bad. And I said, well, write me a list of all the clients you've had recently, of good and bad, write them all down. So she wrote them all down. And then I said, right, I want you to tell me where those clients came from. And lo and behold, all the clients that were excellent and she loved came from word of mouth, and all the ones she hated came from Google. So clearly people who use Google are just bad people. No, I'm joking. We all use Google. It's not that people on Google are bad. The reason is that when people came through Google, they were looking for a solution. They knew they had a problem and they were looking for a solution. And as they looked for that solution, they called up a provider and started talking to that provider. They shortlisted and went, just buy, we need it, just do it. And there was no relationship there. There was no trust. There was no understanding of the content, of the reasons why she did what she did. And there was no peer review either. They had no one to say, her work is absolutely excellent. She did this for us and she's really trustworthy. And there was no trust that was transferred from someone who was saying, this person's really great, to this new person. And what happens is when someone gives a referral, recommendation, or case study, trust is transferred. So if there's something you're buying and you see that someone says it's really good, especially someone that you know, like, and trust, they say it's really good, you're going to be way more trusting when you buy it. And especially if someone's made a word of mouth recommendation, the relationship is so much different. It's so much more open, it's so much more trusting, it's so much more polite. When you call someone and you don't know them and there's no relationship there, you're more likely to be rude to them. I wanted to be rude yesterday when I called up a spa and they were like, so rude on the phone. And I was like, I don't want to go to this place. And I nearly hung up the phone. Then they told me they were closing down. And I was like, well, that makes sense. You know, but if someone's recommended you, you can't be rude to that person because there's a relationship there. So that's just an aside. But it changes dramatically the relationship when there's trust. So for this woman with the commercials, that's what she was having. The good relationships had a foundation of trust. And the ones coming through Google, there was no trust. And that's why people were questioning it. They were in buyer's remorse. They didn't know whether the investment was a good one. They didn't know whether they were going to get the result by the deadline that they needed. So they were nervous. They were panicking. They weren't bad people. They were just being normal buyers, nervous, panicking. Is this going to work? Are we going to get to deadline? Are we going to get a result from this campaign that we're doing? So what I suggested to her, and this is pre-days when I wrote for people actually, this is one of the reasons why I went for writing for people, is to pull out all the essence inside of her background and why she's good and actually get that onto the LinkedIn profile. So in her example, she would put examples of adverts that she's written. She would make sure there's recommendations on her LinkedIn profile saying the work that she's done so people can really see it. And it's also proving the background. So as you go through your experience and you write in the experience of all the things that you've done in the past, one of hers would be, I wrote an episode for EastEnders. And this episode was so powerful that universities across the country now use it as an example piece for a sociology module. Now, seriously, is that not powerful? Like, if you knew that, would you not hire her? So this is why the experience section of a LinkedIn profile is just so important, because it's telling the story. It's an opportunity for you to exhibit your work, to tell them how you came to certain revelations and why you came to your standpoint of, this is why I do what I do, and this is why I believe it should be done this way. So there's some little hints there for going forward. Just going to check the comments and the questions again. Cool, nothing new. So if you want to say something, do let me know. Okay, so when it comes down to someone investing in a solution, we want them to engage with you. And that's why there's really a science to a LinkedIn profile, because it's at this point where the person's going to start that conversation with us, and they are going to say whether they want, they're going to go, yes, this person's credible. Yes, that's a valuable exchange of time. I'm going to have a sales appointment. And when they come to you open, ready, and the conversation is so much different to what it was before. In service-based businesses, selling our time for money, we don't have the luxury of endless telephone calls with people. I actually told someone in their third phone call to me, and it was just like going on and on and on. I said, I'm sorry, I can't work with you, because she wasn't getting it, and it was just and I was like, there's no point to this. If I take her on, she's going to be so nervous about her investment, and I'd spent so much time with her already. It was no longer economically viable for me to take her on board as a client. So we need to think about this too. We need to think, what can I do to decide in half an hour whether this is a good client for me or not, and for them also to do the same thing as to whether you're a good service provider or investment for them. Because if they're not ready to make the investment and you force them into it, buyer's remorse. You do not want that energy out there, especially in peer-based review society that we're in. We want people to always be happy with what you've delivered. So I can't remember my point there, but there's a lot of good points in there. Yes, service-based businesses, we need to be very, very careful with our time, and we need to do it smartly. Half an hour sales appointments before we move to the next stage, which ideally should be paid. So with 57% of the buying decision made online before you get spoken to, conversations have changed dramatically. We can get things into that half an hour conversation, and we can get all of their boxes ticked with whether they have a problem, whether they're ready to invest, whether that you're the person they want to work with, whether they trust you, whether your solutions look like something they want. So we need to cover this in a lot of your content, and then we can do this on the website. You'll see I'm doing a lot of it on the website. Just note though, that it takes time to build this stuff up, so don't have a go at yourself and hold it against yourself if you don't have it all in place. I don't have it all in place. I'm getting there, but it is still happening, a lot of it naturally, and you just build it up in time. But this can be your website, and it can also be your LinkedIn profile. You'll see on my website there's an awful lot of structure pointing towards this. But people don't generally come to your website unless you've got really good SEO and they're already looking for a solution. So that's why your profile is so important, because you can get people right back at the beginning and build up that awareness. So just to summarize, actually I'm going to look at the question that I've just had first. Should we be making videos of us talking about areas of our service, or would it be better to write articles and show examples so it fills out the work experience in the story in more detail? We don't have a lot of time, and making videos is very, very costly. When it comes to the experience section, I would just write it in there. For the actual experience of your LinkedIn profile, I'd write it in there. Don't put too much into it, especially with LinkedIn now changing things that you have to click on the drop down box. There's a very high likelihood it'll never get seen, so just write in the content. The way you do it for the current company is different, so don't do that in this one. It's all your backdated experience. Try and keep it to a tangible amount. Don't use all of the space available, because it's too much and people won't read, unless you want to tell them the snippets and the best bits at the top and then invite them into reading more detail. Then it's worth using all of it. But remember, people scan, they'll only read the first couple of things. So yeah, you can use all of it. Just make sure you make the point very, very clearly at the top, the key point, so they can invite themselves to keep reading. and making videos of areas of our services. I'm going to go differently with that. Can you see what I'm doing today? I am making a video, but it's not about my services. It's about the problem that I solve and demonstrating value. Show up as a thought leader, demonstrating value, adding value, and leading people into wanting to ask what your services are. Right now, I'm adding value. I'll tell you what my services are later. If I was here just doing a presentation on just what I sell, you wouldn't be here. You would have left in the first 10 minutes going, why are you selling to me? So yeah, just look at this as an example. We don't make videos about our services, but we can, whilst we're doing it. I haven't done a lot of this actually, but whilst I'm giving real value and got you really engaged, I can be dropping in, I write people's LinkedIn profiles for them. Oh, my calendar has just taken over my screen. I hate it how it does that. What is going on? Did this just drop out? Are you all still there? Hold on. Okay, right, it's the screen. There we go. Can you see my screen? Gosh, yeah, my calendar, it really annoys me. It just takes over the screen and boof, everything's gone. What you're typing, you have to find your way back. So good, you can see the screen again. Phew, you're still there. Good. Yeah, so hopefully, yeah, so you can layer in as you're telling people and adding value. Like I can be saying stuff like, you know, there's a course that will delve into all of these different things for you. If you want to do this really intensely, I might start doing it. I'll demonstrate to you how you bring your services into it in a really authentic, genuine way. So, okay, so what we need to do is we need to build in sales appointments, a focus on sales appointments, sales scripts and processes, and we need to match it to the buyer's journey. So I've gone through all of those things. And then we need what's called a transformational package. This is something that's really, really tangible, something that people can really go, yeah, okay, get it. And sorry, I got distracted by clearing comments so I can see them. The transformational package is about taking someone from where they are now to where they need to get to. So they can see that if I work with you, we're going to start at this point and we're going to get to that point. So with what I do in my packages is I will take you from not having a sales process, not having the buyer's journey sorted out, not having a LinkedIn profile, not having packages in place, all of those different things, and saying, right, from today, 6 months from now, we'll have all of these things in place. And that can vary for each different person. So one of the things I do is I have a document, which is like a business plan, and we note everything in there. That we have all the notes from the coaching sessions, all the agreed actions. We have all the systems and processes that we put in place, put in there with passwords, and any LinkedIn strategies that I teach you, they're written in there. So you've always got it to go back to and refer to. And we actually will look at what is the relevant goals for you for 6 months, like taking you from here to there in 6 months. This is what we're doing. For all the fanciful creative conversations we have, let's bring it back to basics. What do we say what we're here for? And that's my transformational package. So everyone in their business, when you talk to your client, you can always work out what is the problem they have and what is the solution? What is the logical amount that you can achieve in a certain period of time? It might be time. In my business, it is time for various reasons. For other companies, well, it's always time if it's service-based businesses, but transformational product, doing an exhibition, for example, someone comes along and they build your stand for you. You paid £10,000 to make one of these really fancy stands. Their transformational package is to take you from having a table and nothing else to a wow, with all the digital media and all that kind of stuff. And the job is complete when you get to the end of the show and the thing hasn't fallen down and they're now dismantling it for you, taking it away, and you get on with your life. That is a transformational product in terms of something that comes and goes. Packages for us in service-based businesses are not so tangible, so we have to be really careful to make them. But we're taking a person from where they are today to where they need to get to. And this is really how we want to be selling our services. And actually, if you want to tell me what your services are in the questions, we can start to get some idea of what those would be for your business. Because if it's just coaching, coaching's just too has no start and finish point. It's just like, yeah, we'll just do some coaching. It's like, no, actually, do you know what? I'm going to take you from being completely stuck emotionally where you are right now to a place where you're enjoying life again. So then you can say the transformation, I'm going to take you from here to there. And that can be time-based, or it can be, Lima, if you've raised your hand, if you want to just write in the questions, then I can see the question and actually answer you there. So yeah, yeah, it's about transformation. It's not just having a diddly little lovely conversation, which is what a lot of people sell coaching as. Like, I'll use NLP with you and I'll use this with you, and nobody cares about the techniques. They care about the transformation. Like, what's the result I'm going to get? How are you going to save me from my current position to where I am now? So Elizabeth said she's a rural business consultant working with rural-based businesses to create success by building strong foundations. Okay, so you look at their problem. What is the issue around being rural-based? And what does a strong foundational look like? You need to put words around those foundations, which I'm sure you have. You just can't write it all here. And say, we'll take you from where you are right now, rural-based business focused with all these challenges, unable to get these foundations in place because of these reasons. We're going to work with you to get these foundations in place. And this is our first point of call. This is where we're going to get to. This is the result we're going for. I'm just really aware of time. I really want to do this though, so hopefully you can stay around. I'm offering database change products and do database development projects. Yeah, okay, so it's a change from where you are now to where you want to get to. And when it comes to development, it's the key things. So who was it I was listening to? The guy who, I think it was the guy who does the 4-hour work week. I think it was him. I was listening to a podcast. I think it was him. And he was saying that, oh God, I really want to know who it was now. Anyway, it was a podcast and the guy is very well known. And he was saying they used to do development projects for people and they were just about done. They spent 3 months and they were just about done. And then suddenly the brief changed. The top poncho had to look it over and he goes, no, I want it different. And so deadlines were moving really fast, products weren't getting out to sale, and nothing was going quite right. And he then agreed to do it, where the project could not move forward until it had been signed off. Yes, Tim Ferriss is the guy with 4-hour work week, and I'm pretty sure it's his audio. Basically, what he decided was that there was a segment that goes in the beginning with drafting out what the product was and designing it and saying this is what it's going to be, and writing what the characters were and what the script was going to be and how the animation was going to look. I think anyway, that is the example. And what was happening was 6 months later when it was done, they wanted to change how the character looked, or they wanted to change the accent, or they wanted to change this or that, and they'd have to go right back to the beginning. So what he did was he segmented it, that those bits had to get signed off at the very, very beginning. And so all of these elements got signed off that they could not be changed at a later date. And so that's one sort of segment, and then it's the next segment, the next segment, the next segment. And therefore that becomes a transformational package for you. It has milestones in it. I'll take you from here, and I'll take you to there in 6 months. These are the steps. Boom. So there is a way to contain these things and actually put it into a transformational package rather than like an ongoing piece of work that just never ends. Which is probably quite deep for you. I mean, like it's probably a lot more in it than I just said, but anyway. Okay, so as I said, the key to success on LinkedIn is to know your outcome. We really have to know the outcome. The outcome is to have sales, which means to have sales appointments. So your turn. Just take a moment now and think, what is it you want to get from your LinkedIn profile? Is it new leads? Is it 20 new connections? Is it new awareness in your market, awareness for your target market? What's it going to be? I've already told you the answer. The answer is sales. We can go through feasts and famines in our business. We need to ask ourselves exactly what it is that we need. I'm going through a feast, so now I need a different outcome, but the outcome still is the segment that goes before the feast, the sale. So it all depends on where we're up to, how the task list changed, but it all comes down to sales at the end of the day. So all those answers are wrong, apparently. I can't remember why I put that there, but anyway, um, if we're going out for new business leads, or we're going out for new connections, or we're going out for new people in our database, we need to know why. Why are we doing that? We're not just building a list for ego reasons. We're building it to get sales and outcomes. So there's that slide again. The key is to leverage the trust in your network. There literally is no cost to doing this. So I did say that I would share with you from my own business experience. This is successfully being recorded. So if you are now at time, because we did start late, we can make sure you get the recordings. So do let me know if you have to pop off. If you have to pop off and you don't tell me, I just think I'm doing a bad job. But no, just let me know you're off, and we'll make sure we get the recording out to you. Grace will do that for you. Grace is my business manager, by the way. So you'll hear and see a lot from her over time. So, so let me talk about the example here. So I said to you that at the beginning that I had, no notice whatsoever. I suddenly had to make rent, and I mean make rent, the actual full amount and bills within 10 days. And how do you do that from a standing start? How do you go from, oh my goodness, I had a job yesterday, to now not having one? And I had to decide, am I going to get a new job, or am I going to do my own thing? And I was really passionate about my own thing, and I knew that I had something. And I knew that if I went into another job, it would be squashed and it would be forgotten, which is pretty much what was happening in the new regime in the company. And I worked out that actually to find a job which would bring me alive and help me feel fulfilled would be just as much, if not more effort than it would be just to get on there and work with clients and actually start writing LinkedIn profiles. So what I did is I went to my network. I updated my LinkedIn profile. I then made a status update on LinkedIn saying, launch the profile company. We write LinkedIn profiles for people. Really excited about this new development. And a number of people liked it. And one person who I'd had 1 hour sales meeting with 1 year before, he liked it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. He used to do all the marketing at Grant Thornton, and now he's at KPMG. He's liked it. And I thought, yeah, I could get in touch with him. That'd be cool. But then I saw that I had several new invitations into my inbox for people wanting to connect with me. And, for all of this is a regular occurrence. And I wrote back to each one of them and I said, how can I help? And the person said, oh, well, I saw your status update and I read your profile and I like the idea of what you do. Can I work with you? Can we have a conversation? And I said, yes, let's have a conversation. So that happened because I put a status update. I got in front of that person because I had a status update. Now notice he sent me an invitation to connect, which means we weren't connected before, which means that really he shouldn't have seen that status update because he was out of my network. However, somebody in his network liked it. This guy liked it, and therefore it came up in this other person's feed, and person in my second degree network. And he was like, well, that sounds interesting. That sounds like something I need. So he comes to my LinkedIn profile. He doesn't know me from Adam. He's never heard of me before. He's never met me anywhere before. All he's seen is a status update. He reads the profile and he goes, ha, I like that. I'll have a bit of that. So then he sends me an invitation. Most people ignore invitations. I write back and he says, yeah, actually in the market to buy what you're offering. Wow. And not only is he in the market to buy it, but he's obviously ready to trust me to deliver it. So then I ask him for a conversation. We get on the phone, and within a week, he and his wife have bought profiles from me. I've now made rent. This is about leveraging the trust in your network. I also did a calculation. I said, right, if I want to take on 10 clients, and at the time that would have been to make £4,000, if I want to take on 10 clients, I'm going to need to do, say, 40 sales calls. At this point, I don't know what my sales conversion is, so I better just build in quite a lot of leeway in case I'm really bad at it. So I said, right, okay, let's say that I make 1 in 4 sales. I need 40 sales appointments. And in order to get 40 sales appointments, I need to get in front of at least 40 people and give them an invitation for a sales appointment, which really means I probably need to get in front of 100 people, demonstrate what it is that I do, and then have a certain number of them convert to want to give me their time and actually find out more and trust me that I'm a useful person to talk to for half an hour. And so I was like, right, who can I get in front of? So I called up somebody that I'd spoken for at his event 2 years before, which actually was found through LinkedIn 2 years before, and is actually the reason why I then left London and moved south, because it's such a great business network. So I was like, he knew that I'd moved to town because of his influence, moved to the south coast. So I phoned him up and I said, look, this is what's going on, and can I come and speak for you? He goes, actually, yeah, you can come and speak at my event next week. We've had a cancellation of a speaker. So I go and speak, and someone comes up to me afterwards and says, we're doing this big meet next week. We've got like 70 people coming for a breakfast. Can you come and speak for us? So now I've been in front of maybe 130 people in a week. And of that, I get my 40 sales appointments and I get my 10 sales. And of all of those 130, I connect with them all. And suddenly, pretty much everyone in Hampshire knows me. They know of me, they're talking about me, they've heard me speak, they see me regularly showing up on LinkedIn. I'm in their network, and I'm not forgotten about, even if I don't go regularly to those networking meetings. And I've given you an example at the beginning of this call of exactly how that goes. So you can see just how it is that you can leverage the trust in your network. So Mark says, how do you transition from a conversation on LinkedIn to a sales appointment? Many times you can't message them, you have to pay email. Should I leave an email, phone number, or use another approach direct to the website? Okay, so you put call to action on the profile, which is to say, ask me for a half an hour call. So I say, have a LinkedIn profile review. Other people I work with, they might do a dashboard. So one of the persons does cloud servers, so we put a dashboard together. So it's a one-pager that tells me exactly what their problem is. It's really tangible. It's a really clear, Elizabeth, you could let me do an assessment for you of how you're struggling as a rural business, and then tell them where the weaknesses are, and then how you can fix the weaknesses for them. You might look at, Mark, you might look at their, actually no, John was the project manager, sorry. Yeah, so then you would do that. The other thing to note as well, with the paid email, if you've just sent someone a connection message since the changes in 2017, if they've asked you to connect and then you said yes, you are now in the LinkedIn loop of doom for about 24 hours, which means the invitation will sit there pending for 24 hours and you won't be able to message them. It's so stupid. And it will say to you that you have to pay for the email when you don't. I never have ever paid for an email, and I've never had to worry about it. There's a blog post on my blog, strangely, it actually tells you how to get out of this loop of doom, where you message the person before you accept their connection. And yeah, you can phone them directly, you can send them an email. You should send them a message to connect with a good introduction. And that introduction mostly the introduction will get the person to say yes, and then you have to send them a message again. And just to prove that this works, Grace and I, we've been doing this for quite a lot of people in a network that I'm in. I did not get from quite a few people, I didn't get a single message back on LinkedIn. What they did do was book into my diary, and I had a sales conversation with them. So it's invitation to connect, no response, but I get connected with them, send them another mail. And there's a science to how you send that mail. Don't just do it. It's all about relationship. Then there's a link to my diary. Still no response, but there's an appointment in my diary. I come to my diary, and it's 5 minutes before the appointment. I go, who am I speaking to? And I go and find out, and then I get on the phone with them, and they actually do buy a lot of money too. For my transformational package, it's $2,500, and people will buy that in half an hour. And that is literally all that's happened to get them to that point. So there are ways of doing it very, very quickly. Leveraging the trust in your network is your network, Mark. So it's about positioning yourself as an expert in your industry. It's about the content that you share. It's about what's on your profile. It's about what you say in those messages when you reach out to them. And I think I've got a slide coming up on that. Oh no, get the answer away. Move. There's a question with an answer on that slide. So Mark says, aha, so that is what's happens. I didn't know. Yeah, just hang around with me. I'll sort these things out for you. Yeah, it's so stupid. Which is what I say a lot about LinkedIn these days, and I'm not going to lie. There are so many stupid things about it. I don't know who made these changes, but LinkedIn will never stop being a powerful network. you know, we don't pay for LinkedIn for the reasons why I said at the beginning. You know, how can I prove that if I spend £70 with Sales Navigator, which, by the way, if you are going after corporates with and therefore accounts, Sales Navigator is a really good choice. If you're a service-based business working with individuals where there's maybe 1 or 2 people in a company, it's not worth it. You've got to be able to prove that that £70 that you've invested, you couldn't have met that person and built that relationship differently. Or that, you know, am I saying that right? So you couldn't prove. So if a lot of the relationships I build are people I have met somewhere, and now LinkedIn's on steroids helping me to do it better. LinkedIn's not worth £70 to me because I'm not getting business worth £700,000 business, so multiplying effect to prove that it was worth it in the first place. So Nissa has to go, but that's cool. We can get you the thing. And she says, "Thank you for taking the time to go through the presentation. It was very useful, very realistic, rather than normal normal webinars that discuss unrealistic goals." Good. Yes, we're very practical around here, especially for small businesses. Yeah, and someone else wants the recording, so that's great. So I'm going to just make sure this recording is just really valuable. I'm going to be here for probably another 20 minutes. I will see you dropping off. That's fine. I understand. I know you're getting good from this, so you'll come back for the rest of it. Just for those who are about to drop off, though, if this is all very interesting, I do have a course coming up. It's starting again next week on the 21st, on the 1st of June. I've got so many clicky things on my presentation. I want to get through to it. Right, so I've got a LinkedIn business strategy course coming up, and it's 8 modules. It's all online. It's all ready to go immediately, and it's where we can have these conversations, talk very much about your actual business. I'm going to be delving into all of this content, and actually with worksheets, you're going to be able to do it for yourself and implement it. So you can see here we've got 8 modules. It's about creating the roadmap for your business. I'll be going more into that diagram, what it means for your business. We'll be looking at the packages that you offer and structuring for profit, making sure that your time-based business has everything that it needs. We'll be talking about sales appointments that convert. I'll be supplying you with scripts, and we can actually role play some of your businesses. And it's actually written out scripts for you to start customizing. So you can get inside that half an hour, and we reverse engineer the half an hour of what you need to get from them. We look at pitching your value, why you're the best person for what you do, how to position yourself as an expert. We look at how to write your LinkedIn profile for yourself. We start looking at the content that you can create around the wheel, the clock that I talked about. We talk about managing and engaging leads, so Mark answering some of those little questions that come up, and then bringing it all together in terms of looking at sales objectives and time-based stuff. So that is for people really in time-based businesses, people who are starting up their businesses who have been going for a while but know it's time for development, and also for those that are thought leaders as well. So if that's of interest, it's £247 plus VAT. It's this kind of content delved in way more. Very, very practical worksheets. We've got some really great testimonials on the website as well. For people who've initially made, each of them, 2 people made £6,000 by module 3, and now they've gone on to make a whole heap more because obviously they've just kept doing it again and again, the stuff that was taught. And I recently understand from a guy called Dave, who some of you would have met at the show, he's made £18,000 as a result of this teaching, extra to his business. So that's the LinkedIn Profile Strategy course. You can find it on the URL that's at the bottom there, TheProfile.Company /strategy course. I'd really love to have you there. It's all this stuff and more, you know. So let me go back to where we were. Anyway, all the answers are going. Got more animation coming up now, so it takes more clicks. There's the answer to that question. Right, so leveraging the trust in your network. So it's about activity on LinkedIn. So now you might be asking, okay, well, what is the activity that I should be doing on LinkedIn? And I feel a bit nervous about some of it. Well, you've got to use your social compass, and you've got to think of LinkedIn as the equivalent of a business networking meeting. How you show up at a business networking meeting is very, very different to how you show up at, say, Center Parcs on the weekend. And how you behave, what you say and interact with people is very, very different. So Facebook is very much about, it's a mix. It's some people on there professionally only, some people on there professionally and personally, like myself. Don't know quite how to be. Apparently I come across as scatty on Facebook because of the way I have my humour. But that's actually just a tiny segment that I reveal. Like, I don't reveal much on Facebook. I went to Greece for 2 weeks. Loads of people knew I was there. But I actually didn't post one comment to say I was from Greece and in Greece, and I didn't put one photo up. So, you know, people can be very, very different, very private. I just like to put my humour on there and come across weird. But anyway, so how people use it is very different. And some people, especially those in jobs, they will not want to be spoken to on Facebook regarding their company or anything to do with a buying decision. That's why Facebook is business to consumer. However, on LinkedIn, it's a professional business network, so they do expect to have business conversations. So you can approach employees here. So Facebook is like going to Centre Parks on the weekend. For those of you not in the UK, it's like going to an enclosed, posh, all-inclusive chalets, swimming pool, restaurants. Have a fun. Take the dogs, take the bikes, take your family, extended family. And, you know, if there was a contract that you were going for, a client you really wanted to work with, and you knew that they were going to Centre Parks on the weekend, and you decided to take your family to Centre Parks as well, this is a really good thing to do, by the way, and you can stalk them. But do not walk up to them and start a conversation about business. Do not even think to have a business conversation with that person unless they invite you. You can build really great rapport with the person, though, and you can say, oh, these are your children, this is your dog, how are you doing here? You're having fun, what did you do for dinner last night? And you can build a relationship with them. But do not approach business unless they ask a question, and then be really careful to respect their time with their family. So that's the proper way to behave when you meet a prospect or someone, a business person at a social thing. And it's absolutely brilliant for business and building rapport. But you've got to know the boundary. And that's what Facebook is. Know the boundary. There are lots of times you cannot have that conversation unless the person invites it. So that's why we would have a company page. And if the person comes over and starts interacting with you on that company page, they're the ones opting in for that conversation. You don't go and message them personally on Facebook unless you know that person already and they've given permission through their actions. Whereas LinkedIn is like going to a business networking event. So how you show up, how you dress, how you talk, what you talk about is all exactly replicated on LinkedIn. So if I met you at a business networking event and I told you I now live in a forest with 4 cats, and I started showing you pictures and videos of my 4 cats at that networking event, you're just going to be looking at me going, I need to get away. I need to work the room. Why is this woman doing this? Exactly the same thing. Don't do it. So we would show up very differently at a networking event, do exactly the same on LinkedIn. And the social compass is to say, if you don't feel natural doing it, like sending someone a message or asking for a favor or something, don't do it. That will be classed as spam. Just stay back. You know, think about it in terms of how would I speak to this person? What would I say? I've just done a massive campaign for an event that took place yesterday, and we started 6 weeks ago, going through somebody's database and building relationships on LinkedIn with each person. And the way that we wrote the message, they pretty much could work out that it was a mass-produced message because it didn't have any kind of personal connotations in it or points in it. But it was relational, it was respectful, it was authentic, and people got it. They didn't feel like they'd been, oh, I've connected with you and now I've been hit with this sales message and all these sales benefits and reasons, even before you know that I have a need for what you're offering. So don't do stuff like that. Try and stay as natural and in relationship with people as possible. Okay, so what is social selling? This is a term which I don't know how many people are using it now, and especially in our arena as well, which is more small businesses. Corporates are talking about it a lot. But social selling is to sell over a social platform. And just like you wouldn't show up at your mother's birthday party or your niece's birthday party, turn to the person standing next to you and act like you're at a networking event, and start selling them and saying, you should sign up, it'd be well worth it, sign the bottom line, it'll only cost you this much and you'll make all this money. I sound like a multi-level marketing person there. Yes, that's probably true. That's what they do a lot. Don't do that. To sell in a social environment it's bizarre thing to say. How do you do that? How do you take someone you've just met to take them to someone who wants to sell? They are actually polar opposites. Being social and selling are two very different conversations. There's a difference between the two. You might have seen the answer pop up a minute ago. And it's to build relationship with people. We need to build a relationship, and we need to get to the point where they give us permission to have that conversation, to actually present our offering, and then to ask for the money, which is the 4 to 6 o'clock on the clock. It's the sales appointment to the sale. So we need to build the relationship up where we have permission. So when we do sales scripts inside of the course, you'll actually be gaining permission to sell, permission to present my offering. Is it okay with you if I present my offering? Which I didn't ask your permission at the beginning of this call, but hopefully I've earned your permission. I just realised that. So we need to do this online. We've got being proactive, we've got being active, and we've got a passive. Passive is, yeah, that's some arrows. Next slide. So proactive is searching for prospects, reaching out to them, asking them to connect, asking for introductions, and sending out an email. So we're actually going to that person. We've got them in mind. We want to speak to that person. Active is to do a status update, publish content, comment in groups, stuff I've talked about and given examples of for myself. And that comes down to your profile, which is your passive. It's something that's done, it's sitting there, it's ready for you. It gets changed every now and then. I review mine every couple of months. So this is your passive strategy, and everything you do proactively. You send someone an email, you send them ask for an introduction from somebody, you ask them to connect, they're going to wonder who you are, they are going to come looking at your profile. I give an example of how that is, how that happens from my stuff. If you've got a question, you're raising a hand, just type it in the box rather than raise your hand, because then I know what the question is. But thank you for interacting. And if you're seeing this on a recording, just comment on the comment thread below, and we'll keep an eye on it and answer the questions for you. So then active, yeah, people go, well, who are you? I've given examples of that as well. And they come to your profile and they go, yeah, that sounds like something that's really valuable. That's something I can see myself doing. Let's have a conversation. So what you want to do with your LinkedIn profile is you want to reverse engineer. Ask the right questions, what is your outcome, and work your way backwards. So the diagram I provided you gives you some great ways to start working your way backwards. And then really match your outcome to your profile and really know what it is that you want to achieve. Not just on your profile, actually on LinkedIn, because when you do that, you move conversations forward way quicker. I know I want to get an ideal person on the phone having a conversation with me so I can add value to them. And so therefore everything I do, every conversation is always tailored. And as I said, like the example, invitation to connect, send them a first message, no responses back yet. I've had a sales meeting with them. That's my outcome. They haven't even interacted with me on the platform, but I've got my outcome. That's what you're going for. And that's really key, actually, because even if you're talking to someone who turns out not to be a prospect or is a prospect, we still want to add value to them. The reason being is sometimes people are not a prospect because they're not an ideal client for us, and other times they're not a prospect because they're just not in the market for what we're after. But they are still somebody we want to speak to. So when you look at that clock and it says building awareness in the marketplace for the problem that you solve, this is to actually have people refer others to you, to build awareness of the problem and the solutions that you offer, and to identify prospects and recommend them to you. So if someone reads your profile and comes to an awareness that actually it will be 65% of 65% turnover in recruitment is very, very high. You've just created an awareness. Now, I'm not in recruitment, but I had that awareness. Now, when I meet somebody else and they're talking about, oh gosh, this person's left and it costs us so much to recruit. 60, what's your ratio? Did you know that people can get 15%? suddenly people are giving that information into the conversation, and they are building that awareness where people are coming around to it. And you don't even have to be in contact with that person, because like the example with the mini, as soon as people are aware that something exists, they start seeing solutions everywhere. So we want people to hear a problem, their friend express a problem, and know that there's a solution, and give them a snippet of information that puts their radar on. So that's why we write for non-prospects as well as prospects. And then for the prospect, it's exactly what we talked about. It's them identifying that they're a prospect, and coming around to the fact that they need to invest. So non-prospects are really, really important. And so you've got 4 audiences that you're writing your profile for. And your profile is 24/7, all the time, making an impact across not just strangers, like your website would be strangers. You know, if someone found your website, hopefully you've got good SEO and people are finding it, strangers. LinkedIn, your closest friends and family, your closest network, everybody you've ever worked with in the past. You should be connecting with them. Everybody you meet in networking, it's making an impact. And it's, again, how are you showing up in the world? How are you asking people to interact with you? Are you making a good use of this activity? Your wealth is in your network. So if you want to get rich, if you want to make sales, if you want to build your business really, really easily, you've got to recognize that your wealth is in your network. It's who you know. It's how they perceive you. It's whether they'd recommend you, whether they trust you. It's whether they understand what it is that you do. If they don't understand what you do, the problem that you solve, they can't recommend people to you. And it's like the example in Friends, when nobody understood what it was that Chandler did. Nobody got it. So no one could recommend business to him. Even if he was on the scout for new business and they knew the perfect person, nobody could make that recommendation because nobody knew what he did. They didn't understand it. So every time we've got to talk in layman's terms, like, this is the problem I solve, this is how I solve it, so that people in our network can be really, really valuable and tell the people that they know. So that's our first degree and our second degree network. First degree are people we know, and second degree is those who they know. So now it's really normal to research prospects, candidates, suppliers, and colleagues on LinkedIn before a meeting. So remember how they interact with you and the level of that conversation, how advanced that conversation is, and how close to a buying decision they are, how much time it's going to take you to get the outcome you want, is all going to be dependent on what they find about you on LinkedIn and online as well. First impressions really do count. If I had more time, I would give you so many examples of where I've bought from someone and then had buyer's remorse, gone and looked on their LinkedIn profile and gone, oh my God, why am I buying from this person? Oh my gosh. And other times when, you've been so underwhelmed at the beginning and then worked out who the person is, which is actually my job when I meet people. I'm underwhelmed by their profile, listen to them, learn about them and go, oh my goodness. And all of that could have come across in the first impression. So reasons why people are successful on LinkedIn: they have clear business outcomes, they follow a strategy appropriate for their business, they stand out for something. We didn't talk a lot on that today, actually, about standing for something and being a thought leader. They have a clear call to action, so there's a way they know how to interact with you and get in touch, and their profile establishes and transfers trust. So it establishes in terms of what they see, the professionalism, the message, the getting it, wow, and then where trust is available to be transferred. Recommendations, people actually verbally recommending you into something, that is the transfer of trust. So the big question is, what do you want to achieve on LinkedIn? Like, what is it for you? What are the sales for you? What you need to succeed is we need this transformational package. We need to really work out what that is. There's a company I'm working with at the moment, and they do a great thing with people. And it can go really, really in depth, but they haven't got something really tangible like buy it off the shelf. For $6,000, you get this. We come in, we do this, 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 and this, and then you get this, and then we review it, and then you can go on to retain a business. So what we're doing is actually writing him now, this is in my transformational package that I offer, we're actually writing him a brochure that looks just at that first stage, that first pilot stage, where they come in and go, right, we're going to do this with you, then we're going to do this, then we're going to do this, and then we'll see what the results are. And that's the transformational package, to take someone from that beginning part 3. So you need to get that in place so it's really tangible, really easy for all decision makers to sign off on because they can see what they're getting. We've got to match our content to the buying journey, including our LinkedIn profile. We need sales appointments. We need them structured with a script. There needs to be a sales process. We need to be able to pitch what our business is, the problem that we solve. We need to pitch it really well. That 30-second pitch, but a bit more. We need to stand for something, and we need to understand why we are a trusted advisor and expert in our industry and present that. So that's everything that we're going to be covering in the course that I mentioned before, the LinkedIn Profile Strategy course. It's more than just a LinkedIn profile. It's actually looking at some of the vital components of your business. We're going to be looking at how to get leads and what to do with them, essentially. And we're going to be focusing on LinkedIn. And we're going to be positioning you as the trusted advisor in your business, in your industry. You can join at any moment. You can join straight away and we'll give you access to the modules today. They are all there for you. And what's going to happen on the 1st of June, and if you listen to this after, we start all the time so you can get started anytime. The next cohort of live sessions will just be another date. And you listen to the session in the week, and then we review it during the session, and then you ask questions, how it applies to you, and I give you very practical advice. You can come on the call, we can talk it through and move you forward. So you're actually really getting to implement this stuff and see results. It's £247 plus VAT right now. We are constantly building up the content for this and turning it into better, bigger resources. So the idea is that especially this time next year, it's going to be £1,000 because of all the hand holding that's going on there. But you can get in right now and actually have me involved in the conversation for just £247. My phone number's on there if you want to talk to me about it, and you can also email me if you need to ask questions about that. We are limited to 30 places online, and we're not doing the online session at the moment, but I mean the live session, but it's because you're all over the country. But if that's something you want to do, just go to TheProfile.Company/strategy course. We'll get you involved. We'll get you the modules out immediately, so you can delve into those with all the worksheets to do and the between session work. And you'll start putting all of these things that we've talked in place. And then next Thursday night, we'll actually start with the sessions where I'll review the content and get really practical with you about what it means for you and your business. No funny gimmicks, no overwhelming benefits, no manipulative nonsense. It's just straight up, that's the price. That's what we're doing. If you've got any questions about it, let me know in the box. I'd be happy to answer those questions for you. And yeah, from most, oh, we're finished. There we go. I hope that's been of benefit to you. It's time for us to finish. The recording will be made available. I've kept most of you, so most of you didn't have to disappear anywhere, so that's really, really good. If you've got any questions, I've got a few minutes. I have a sales call in 10 minutes, which I need a glass of water for. So I can be here for another few minutes. But yeah, get in touch with Grace and myself if you want to do the course. We'll make sure you get the recording. And I hope you really enjoyed it. I think we covered a lot of really valuable content in there as well. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. And maybe you had to all go and do something. So I'm going to sign off. Lovely to be with you. Oh, Lima said thank you. It was great. Loved your Primark example. Thank you. I'm actually wearing my Primark trousers right now because I live with 4 very lovable cats, and I just didn't. I'm at home doing this so I can be undisturbed, and I just want to pick the cats up all day and run around the garden with them. So I'm just wearing them. And I can't stand them. So Jonathan has a question, so I will be poised for that. And Mark says thank you, great webinar. So thank you, Mark, for being here and interacting with us, and Lima and Jonathan as well. Luma, I think it might be Luma actually, not Lima. Correct pronunciation. So yeah, I'll be here for a few more minutes, but remember, if you come on the course, then we will be just answering question after question and really applying this, breaking it down into modules and milestones, and really getting in a logical manner as well. Okay, question. When writing a profile to position yourself as an expert, not a job seeker, is it okay to have an experience section that is full of holes, highlights only? Absolutely, absolutely. Um, yeah, I would only include the experience that's relevant to the job that you're doing. If you are not in the hospitality industry, then saying that you have to do bartending work for a while might not be a good idea. So when I was building up my business, I actually did take a job doing that. I worked in a restaurant for 6 months, and I don't have it on my LinkedIn profile, and nobody needs to know that. It's a distracting thing for my brand, but it's something that a lot of us have to do. And I also decided at one point that I had to give up one of my businesses because I had a massive weakness in sales, and I had to either give up being a self-employed business person altogether, or I had to go and improve it. So I actually went and worked in a graphic design agency for 6 months and did cold calling. It was just horrendous. And I don't have it on my LinkedIn profile. It's distracting for the brand. You just don't need to know that. So I don't have it on there. So keep it relevant and just focus on examples. Think about the results you've got for people. Think about the industry. If you've turned a business around or done something, during the crash in 2008, that is really important to highlight. Even if the date is actually there, just remind people it was during the crash. And they go, oh, wow, yeah, that's really big. So it's about setting context, setting the environment. Do you think the premium £23.99 per month is worth the money to highlight you more on LinkedIn? Is it more careers, but maybe it highlights you more in the newsfeed? It is like positioned as careers. So you're going to get lots more job stuff coming through. I've actually seen someone's feed from it, and it is 100% jobs. And now I can't get the jobs out of his feed, and I just was like, I don't even know how to fix that. I just think that if you have a really clear outcome and a really clear offering, and you know exactly what it is that you offer, and you're leveraging it online and offline, you just don't need it. I mean, we are at sales target in my business, and we've never paid for it. Only one time when I was working with LinkedIn with the other company, LinkedIn graded us all for a month, so we could see it all. And I just didn't see any extra value in it at all. If you're going after corporates, yes, do it. You're creating accounts, do it. But there's so much more behind it. And I say, if you don't know how to use the free features, you don't know how to use the paid features. Unless you've got really good content, then you don't need to be paying to get featured more, and you can always pay for sponsorship of that stuff anyway. So I'm going to go with no being the answer. That's what you were thinking. Good. We're all on the same page. All right. I've really enjoyed being with you today. Please come over to our company page on LinkedIn. Find us also on Facebook, because it's just more of a casual conversation over there. Like I said, different environments. And I'd love it if you would each write a little testimonial about how you've enjoyed this webinar, because more people will then think that's a good use of, transfer the trust, good use of my time. I'll go and listen to that webinar because these people have said it's great. So I'd really love your peer review there so that others will see it's a good use of their time. And I hope to have you on the course. I really do. I'm really passionate about the course and how we can just go into each segment and just apply it to the business. So how often should I be pushing out content? Well, you have to come on my course, Mark, There's different schools of thought. Daily, you want to be active, different types of content. But I have to pop off. You saw my diary flick up a minute ago for a sales appointment, so I need to go. And I've never spoken to that person, by the way. It's all come through LinkedIn. I actually need to go and work out who they are and read their profile. So I'm going to go. Nice to be with you. Thank you ever so much. Send me a message. Tell me how you found the webinar for other people to read. And I don't want to go. I feel like I'm at a party, but I'm having a good time. But I have to go. Have a wonderful Friday, a wonderful bank holiday. Thank you very much. Bye.